Hello again, this is UML Operator. Hello and welcome back. In this video, we are going to do my first use case and start learning about use cases. We're going to talk briefly about the elements, what a use case is, what an association connector between use cases are, what an include is, extend. We're going to talk briefly about generalization in use cases and some other things like scope and systems and so on. But I'm just going to touch on these. They're covered more in our use case videos, and I'll try to include links in the description. The first thing we want to talk about is getting help. So from the Start tab, you go to the Help, you select Open Help, and you get to the Help Center. From the Help Center, what you want to do is you want to go to Modeling Languages right here. Then we want to go to UML Languages right at the top. And then we want to go to Behavioral Models. And then we want to go to Use Case Diagrams. All right. So you want help, you can do it the old-fashioned way and hunt and peck through Sparx help system. However, we're going to show you another way using Model Builder. It's faster and easier and allows for better documentation. So we're in our root right here. We've got our toolbox turned on right here, and we're going to go to Model Builder right here. So as soon as you launch this, this was the last one we worked on. Use cases is at the top. So I'll go ahead and minimize this one. And in use cases, you have a starter use case pattern, basic use case, and you have a bunch of patterns to choose from depending on what you want to learn and where you want to learn it. I think this is the most important one, but we're going to use starter use case model. All right, so we're in our parent folder, which is model. You can certainly change and put it anywhere that you want in your project, your learning project, but we're going to put it right here for now. All right, and then we're going to hit create model. So it's going through and it's creating that pattern. Here it is right here. Let's go ahead and open it in our work area. We're in the default layout. We have added a toolbox. You all have learned in the previous videos on how to do that. And now we have a starter blank. Everything is blank. There's nothing in these, nothing in the association, nothing on any of the elements. All right. So let's start our learning. Now over in our toolbox, we're going to minimize some things so we can get down to document right here. And again, if you don't have the toolbox loaded in the start page, design, just launch toolbox. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on document. Again, you can drag and drop it in and we're going to click where we want it. And we're just going to leave it blank with a default name. We're going to open it up and out of all the templates, we're going with none. So we're going to hit OK. And now we have a blank document here that we can start filling with our knowledge and our intelligence. Now in this blank diagram, we're going to go to Model Builder again. It remembers the last thing we were on. We're going to select all of this by hitting Control A. Then we're going to hit Control C to copy this content over to this blank document, and we're going to hit Control V. Now we've pasted this in, and now we have all of that content here in this document. We're going to save this document. We'll hit the little save icon here or hit Control S. And we can start now adding in all of our learning intelligence, questions we have, things we need to work on. You can control click in here to get to help cite links that are in Sparx. And you can add in links such as UML operator training videos as references. Plus there's a lot of other references in here around the tooling that you would use while you're modeling use cases. Next, what I'm going to do is Control C, copy the title here, and then I'm going to roll over to this document right here, and we can either rename it right in the element itself, or again here over in properties, we're going to hit Control V to paste. There we go. Now this is renamed and it's ready to go. Let's go ahead and close this one. And here we get right to the document. Let's create a package here, just a blank package in here. And we're just going to call this my first use case. I was going to type in UC, but let me spell it out. All right. And in it, because I asked it to create a diagram, it's creating a diagram. I'm going to go to behavioral. and I'm going to choose use case, and I can expand this, and there's different types. We're just going to go on the first one right here. Keep it simple. Hit create diagram. So now we have a blank use case diagram with use case tooling in it. And I'll minimize document. I don't need it. Relationships, analysis, and then interface. Anything that I need in tooling is over here in the toolbox. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is bring in an actor. So we select actor, just drag and drop it in here, and you can name it anytime you want. We're just going to leave the default actor 1. We're going to bring in a use case. Bring in your use cases first. Don't worry about boundaries in the beginning. All right. So you bring in a use case. If you control click in here, you can bring in another use case, control click again, bring in another use case. And then what we want to do is we want to draw an association over to the first use case. So we're going to use association, right? So now we've drawn or started to draw our very first use case. Then what we want to do is when we're looking at this particular element, we're making considerations about what this is. We're going to hit function key 2 to edit in there. Again, you can edit over in properties, right? So this first one we're going to call place order, right? Hit enter, right? The second one, we're going to hit function key 2 again. We're going to edit the name, and we're going to type purchase space item, right? And then the third one over here, we're going to hit function key 2 again, and we're going to rename this one make payment, right? You're not worried about any lines or associations at this point. What you're doing is you're reading your requirements and you're looking for nouns and verbs, particularly verbs, where place order is your verb and your noun combination. Verb and noun combination. So just mind dump and bring in your use cases that you think you need. Then at any point, you can draw on associations by dragging this arrow right here over to this use case, and then picking a connector type. We're just going to do associations in the beginning, right? And then from this one to this one, another way you can do it is over here, use case relationships. You can select whatever one that you want. We're going to use associate for associations here. It turns into a hand. We select our source and we go over to our target and we let go of the mouse button. That's another way to draw connectors or associations. You can add use cases at any time you want. So we're going to drag another use case in here, let go, or again, click on and drop it in. And in this particular case, we're going to create a use case called apply discount, right? And from purchase item, we want to apply a discount. Is that an association? The answer is no. That is an extend. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this item, this arrow right here, come over here, let go. And this time we want to extend connection between these, all right? Anytime you're modeling, you're able to organize your elements based on the story that you want to tell, all right? So in this particular case, we're now going to bring in a system or a boundary. So we just select it, click anywhere where you want to start it or drag and drop it in and just hit OK. All right. Then what we're going to do with a boundary, this which represents the system, is we're going to surround the use cases that represent the interactions that's taking place in that particular system or that particular scope. Now, a little tip here, if you double click in here, you get the boundary properties. You can give the boundary a name. And in this particular case, we're going to call this sales system and hit OK, right? So now you've given it a name. You can go into layout. You can make the characters bold, increase the font, anything that you want to do, all right? The other thing, if we double click it and open up the properties again, we can choose shapes. We can make this rounded rectangles, right? Double click again. We could make this an ellipse, right? You can double click again and make this dashed. In the dashed, you can give this a color. So if we come up here to color, let's say we want this scope to be this color. Double click it again. We want to solid with no fill. And then I'm going to go back to solid. And then I'm going to go back to rounded rectangle. All right. So there's so many options that you can do here to represent what you want to show to the audience as you're explaining the scope and or the system. Eventually your use case may start looking something like this. All right. In this particular case, we have two systems or two scope conversations, and I show you how to do this in other videos around use cases. We have different types of connectors and associations. We have include, that is dealing with these use cases as part of access management. Access management is part of any order or process where the customer is relevant to our system or systems. We have extend here where we're stating that purchase item is extended to apply discount. We have generalization, which is basically stating that make payment is being generalized by pay by credit card or pay by PayPal. All right, let me roll down here. And generalization essentially means that these use cases are inheriting from this use case. All right, we're going to wrap up here. I hope this video has helped. Please post comments down below, questions down below as you're learning how to do use cases. If we don't already have a video on it, which we have a lot, we'll create something more specific to answering your questions, or at least try to, with the time permits. We've got a lot in the queue, a lot going on the channel. So like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episodes. And until then, happy modeling.